Let's recap the structure of this program and how it will be developed. So first of all, we will be using an SQL database in the background. There's lots of different databases that are available from different manufacturers. SQL comes from Microsoft, but we have PostgreSQL, MongoDB, MySQL. They're all available, but in this instance, we're purely focusing on the .NET infrastructure and therefore using a Microsoft SQL database. To get information in and out of the database, we will be writing a library. In this instance, in .NET, an entity framework code first library. To make this publicly accessible, we will wrap this with some web APIs, again created in .NET Core, and securing it using Microsoft Identity Framework. And then finally, our actual user interface. There are lots of different frameworks we can use to write user interfaces, but we will be using one of the latest, which is Blazor WebAssembly. It's a very cool new technology released by Microsoft for writing dynamic web applications. So what tools do we need and where do we get them from? So all the tools we need are freely available. Our database backend will be using Microsoft SQL Server, and I'll walk us through how to download that and install it. The same for Microsoft Visual Studio, the .NET Core libraries and frameworks, and then how to host and run our web application, just a standard Windows module called IIS that we can switch on quite easily. These are all freely available, so I will now walk through how to download them and install them so that we can then begin development in our next session. Okay, let's find and download some of the components that we actually need. So first of all, we need to download the .NET Core framework. Let's search for that. Take us to the Microsoft website. We click on that. And here we go. The latest version as of this video is .NET 8. Microsoft are working on .NET 9 at the moment, which may be available when you search, and subsequent videos after that. So we click on that, download it, and our download will start in a couple of seconds. And there we go. It doesn't take very long. A lot of it, when you install it, is actually streamed during installation itself. Let that finish. And we will now go to Microsoft SQL Server. And find the entry from SQL Server. And now we can download the free developer version of SQL Server. And there we go. Small installation. Most of it is streamed when you actually do the installation itself. And then finally, Visual Studio. We'll download that. Find the free Visual Studio. And we want to download Visual Studio Community, which is free. So those are the three tools that we need. Now, let's go ahead and install some of these. So first of all, .NET, we'll open that. There we go, it's actually finished already. So now we will look for the IIS module to install. So let's go add, remove, Windows features. Scroll down to find Internet Information Services, click on the checkbox and click OK. I already have it installed on my machine, so I don't need to do any further, but just use the default series of things that it will choose underneath. Unless you know a little bit more about what you're doing, you can fine tune your selections, but the default series of features underneath IIS will be absolutely fine. So just click that and then click OK. It may take a few minutes to actually do the installation. It normally doesn't require a reboot, but be prepared for it just in case it does. Okay, we will do Visual Studio. So let me open that. Yes. Continue. Gets the installer ready. We will be prompted with the installer wizard, and what we need to do is select the ASP.NET and web development module. There's lots of other modules that we're not going to consider for this particular installation right now, and lots of other features that we don't necessarily need to install right now. And purely you click install. Now you can see the space required is nearly 6 gigabytes. It will take quite a long time to download this and install it, so I will come back once this is at 100%. The installation is completed, and automatically we can see that a pop-up has come up to see if you want to sign into Visual Studio. You don't have to. It does require a Microsoft account, hotmail.com, outlook.com or something like that. I'm going to skip this for now. You can choose your theme, dark blue, actually there's loads of other themes you can grab. Choose to start Visual Studio or just close it down if you want to. For now, I'm just going to close this because we can continue with the installation of SQL Server. Alright, so here we're going to install SQL Server from our downloaded package. Just click installation file. Choose the installation, choose your directory where you wish to install it. Again, this can take quite a while to install because it's over a gigabyte in size. It will stream it as it downloads it. Mine's already pre-downloaded. It will then take you to this dialog here. So let's maximize this. We can have a look in a bit more detail. So go to installation. And go to new standalone installation. What it's going to do is go through various things like checking for updates and whatnot, and some prerequisite checks. Choose your edition, the developer edition. If you've actually purchased it, you have the opportunity to enter a product key here, but the developer edition is free. Accept the terms and conditions. And then things like this, we're going to ignore for now. So we're not going to worry about the Azure extension for SQL Server. And the feature selection, the minimum set you need is just the database engine service. But there are plenty of other things that you can choose to install if you want to. SQL Server is a very powerful database product with a lot of capabilities if you choose to install all of this, albeit it's a huge amount of space required if you do choose everything. Choose your directory, default is fine. And then in this particular instance, I would not use default instance. Sometimes it comes pre-selected. I already have an instance of SQL Server installed on here, so I think it chose named instance for me. In this case, what I'm going to do is call it SQL 2022, and it pre-selects instance ID SQL 2022 for me automatically. That's basically the name that we're going to connect to it under. few things here. You can ignore most of these. We'll get to what these features mean in a later episode. And what you do want to do is add to the current user. This is so that you can easily connect to the server using your current logged in user when you want to do some database queries. There's all our installation steps. And we go install, and this can take, again, quite a while. So I will come back to this when the installation is complete. Okay, so our installation is now complete and our database is now running on our machine. However, to connect to the database, we do need to install a separate tool, which is called SQL Management Studio. First link, download that. Can take a little while, so we will come back once that is downloaded. Okay, now finally our download has completed. We can run SMSS SQL Server Management Studio installation and click install. Simple as that. There's nothing that really needs to be done. Just take a few minutes to install. Once we have that, we have all the tools we need to be able to start our project development, connect to database, write code, everything we need to do, essentially. So I'll come back to this once this is complete, and we'll just open up all the tools and see what we've got. There we go. SQL Server Management Studio has now completed. So what we'll do is we'll just run all the tools that we need. So we'll go to Visual Studio. Here we go. This is Visual Studio that we installed earlier. And we'll also go to SQL Server Management Studio, and we'll install that we ran earlier. Skip this for now. Start Visual Studio. It can take a few minutes or so to configure all of these tools. But once we're there, we have everything we possibly need to begin running and begin developing our software products. So we can start shutting everything else down, whatever it might be. We also have SQL Server Management Studio, and we can connect to our database that we did earlier, SQL 2022. And there we go, we are connected to our databases, and we have Visual Studio available to create new projects. And that's everything we need for now.